All right, so I'm going to show you how to make your own AI image generator in this video. So I'm going to go over the steps and then we're going to actually go and create this right in front of you. I'm going to show you how to build this tool. You could actually build this for an internal application for your business, like if you need to create Pinterest style images, things like that, or you could actually create this as your own SaaS and create a user auth and add in Stripe payments and launch this and actually get paying customers. So we're going to go off and I'm going to show you how to create your own AI image generator from scratch. So here we go. So you're going to plan your MVP, all the basic functions of the app. Don't overcomplicate this step. Really, we want to be able to have an input box so the user can say, hey, create this for me, and then push create image. Simple as that, right? Don't overcomplicate this. And then we can come over here. We're going to pick your vibe coding app, right? So you could use Base 44. You could use, I'm going to be showing you a software that you've probably never heard of, but it's way better than Base 44. It's way better than Lovable.dev. It's way better than Bolt and Cursor and all the Replit, all those. This one is fantastic and nobody knows about it. So I'm going to introduce you. That's just the pure value in this video, that even if that's the only thing you take from this is that the software that I'm going to be sharing with you, then take it and run with it, because this software is an all-in-one and builds your entire app, and you can add Stripe payments, and you can build authentication, and you can add in your API keys. You can do it all under one roof. And so it's perfect for beginners, and it's perfect for people that don't want to manage several different apps and having them all come together and multiple things that can break. At least if something breaks, it's all under one roof and you can get support for that specific tool, which is awesome. And if you want to get access to that tool, there will be a link in the description below. Okay. So what else do you need to do? Well, you need to prompt the app. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we need to add our API keys if there are any. And so since we are creating a more, I would say this is a little bit more complex of an app, because you have to have a third-party API. You have to tell it what large language model to use to create these images. You're going to have to know how to do a little bit, but I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. It's actually more simple than you probably think to be able to create an API key, tell the vibe coding app, hey, here's my API key, install this, use this to create the images, and so forth, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that. But most likely, yes, this will be the case. You will need an API key. And then you're going to test your app, and then you're going to launch your app. So let's get started. So we're going to use this tool right here. It's called Flute. And this is the easiest way to build websites and apps right here. And you can see I got #1 product of the day on Product Hunt. They are already over $1 million in annual reoccurring revenue. So they are literally, like, this tool is growing by the day, which is super cool. So I am going to prompt this, and here's the prompt that I'm using. So build me an AI image generation tool. And actually, before I do that, let me just tell you that I have already vibe coded apps and launched them to over $1,000 in revenue. And so I've actually launched this out with no paid ads or anything, got paid customers, and sold vibe coded apps. So it actually does work. It is a real thing. And so I just want to lead off by letting you know that this isn't just theory. You can actually create an app. You can build the authentication. You can build the payment interface and all that. And you can actually go out there and start selling applications, right? So we're going to build an AI generation tool. So this is the prompt. I didn't put this in ChatGPT or anything like that, like everyone else tells you to. I literally just type exactly what I want. The system is smart enough to take just what you're telling it to do, and that's it. I actually recommend just prompting it like you're sending out an email without using AI. Just tell it what you want it to do instead of going and overcomplicating things and getting the perfect prompt and all that. It doesn't matter. The AI is going to dissect what you put in this box anyways. It's going to come up with its own set of rules and what it interprets anyways. And so I recommend just kind of, keeping it like a one nice paragraph. Don't do too much and don't do too little. This is a great volume right here. And so I'm going to say build an AI image generation tool. Now, you could not add any of this stuff, but you're going to need all this stuff anyways. You may as well kind of give the software a little bit more information so then you don't have to go and do a bunch of edits, right? So a lot of people will just say, build me an AI image generation tool. the app might go in a whole different direction, and that's fine. But I think that researching a little bit more, I know about APIs, and I know that OpenRouter is the easiest API key in the world to get. And so it's actually a little bit more complex than you think, getting your Claude, getting your Gemini, and getting your Open AI or your Chat GPT, getting those API keys and the right one and the right user settings and permissions and all that. It's actually a little bit more complex than you think. And so OpenRouter is just going to allow us to tap into all those for under one roof, and you can choose any model that you want. So I've recently started using OpenRouter, and I really, really like it. So we're going to say, build me an AI image generation tool. We will use OpenRouter API key. So you will need to ask me for an API key at that point. Also, we will be using two specific models available in our OpenRouter API. They are CDance 1.5 Pro. That's basically the most capable model, arguably, on the planet right now. And so we're going to do that, and it's the most expensive, but we're going to do that and we'll fool around with it. And then also the most balanced one, we could use Nano Banana. Maybe I'll add that in later, but I already did some research, and I'll show you how I did that as well, is GPT 5.4 mini. Okay. So that's going to be the best cost and highest quality. So it's the most balanced for daily use. User will have a prompt input box, and we'll be able to select from the two models. The default model is the GPT 5.4. User enters the prompt and what image to create and pushes create image. Next to model selection, add a drop-down selection box for most popular image sizes, 9x16, 16x9, 1x1. I also wanted to put the Pinterest size in right there as well. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, what is the most common Pinterest pin size? We're going to go like that, and I'm going to go, it's a 2x3. So we're going to go like this, and I'm also going to go boom. I'm going to say 2x3. The 2x3 would be Pinterest. Okay. So the default size, if not selected, is 16x9. Make sure to create a progress bar while image is processing to show user how far along it is. Then output the image below the prompt box when it's ready. Now, these are some things that I'm adding in here because I just think that it would offer high value to a customer. Now, these are things that you don't have to do, but as I've been reviewing software, I have other channels and everything, and I kind of live inside of softwares and AI. So these are things that just kind of naturally came to my brain while I was mapping this out that I think would offer some value to people. But you don't have to be this advanced or this specific, but just know that you could, the more you kind of add that's balanced is going to make your app even that much more like desirable and valuable. So I'm saying allow each user to download the image in high quality definition, allow user to save up to 25 images in their image library so they can come back to it and download anytime. Latest 25 images are always saved in an archive, and the last one falls off and is deleted automatically when another image is created. So we want to give a nice balance for people being able to come back and download their image if they've forgot about it or whatever. But we don't want to hold too much in the tank because that will just kind of bloat the entire system. And so I think 25 is really good. But then also allow another database for the user to have saved archives. So they're allowed to save any image they want as long as possible, but they can save 25 images in that folder. So create the app. So there we go. But let's go ahead and push the build button. It's going to go out there and build. Now, while it's building, I want to show you a couple of different things, right? So I came over here and I said, does OpenRouter API create images? Yes, it does. Yes, the OpenRouter API supports all kinds of image generation. So we're going to use OpenRouter, and that's over here, right? So we have all these models in here. Look at every model that you can think of. Look at the cursor. Look how many models are in here for writing and image creation and video creation. We've got it all. So what I ended up doing is I come over here and I grabbed this and I just took this entire list of 377 models and I went and prompted Gemini, and I said, out of this list of models, which one creates the highest quality and most capable images, then list which one creates the highest quality for lowest cost. So the most balanced model. So then we come through here and it answered our question. It said CDance 1.5 by ByteDance. ByteDance is the undisputed champion for visual fidelity and capability, and that's for image and video. But then the most balanced that it's saying on our list is actually GPT 5.4 mini, where you're going to get really good images for cheap. And this is going to be even cheaper than like Nano Banana, I believe. And so we could add Nano Banana in there as well. Maybe we will, but that's what we went with, right? I just wanted to make it simple. I don't want to add like a million large language models. I want this to be something simple for users to be able to get the highest quality image or a nice balanced image right here. So it's like 75 cents for a million input tokens right there. Okay. So now we can go back and see where our app is over here on the left. And it's actually Flute is building our app for us. And I'll come right back once we can take a look at what we've got. Okay. So this is what Flute will do for you is that all along the way, it's ready for our open router API key, right? So all we have to do is just leave open router API right there. And all I have to do is come in here and there's some more settings right here, but all we have to do is just grab the OpenAI. So I didn't show you inside of here. So this is open router. You can go over here to API keys. You can't see right here. I'm using these right over here. It'll tell you how much money you spent on one. And this is your API key. Now that's not the entire API key. You want to create an API key, super easy, right? And you'll just put the name over here. And so what I would do right here is I would say custom Flute AI image generator app, something like that, right? So you know where this is coming from. You can leave that there and then no expiration. All you have to do is push this create button, right? And you'll be able to see a little bit of my API key, and I'm not worried about it because it keeps continuing to extend. So you would never be able to know what it actually is. All you're gonna do is just come over here to this clipboard and push the copy button. Now you can go and save this at any time, save it to, your notepad or whatever if you want, or just as easy, if you end up having an API issue, you just delete it and create a new one because it's so easy. That's what I love about Open Router. And so now we just come back in here to Flute and we just paste this in and we paste that entire API key in right here. We have Open Router API key, and all we do is just push create. And now it's going to go out there and API key has been created successfully. All this is going on in the background. We basically have our Vibe coder is back there creating our app, and Flute is building our entire interface and everything. It has the capability now because we've loaded it with the Open Router API key, which is going to be able to use CDance. It's going to be able to use GPT 5.4 mini. We'll come right back in just a minute. You can see right here, knowledge retrieved from the internet, looking up information. So it's doing all this stuff, and we'll come right back. Now, just to show you Flute in action, you can see now it's building here. It's doing all this right here. The coding is happening in the background, and you can see it's working on all this stuff. Image list, image save, post, image list, get, save, delete, post, all those things right over there. So it's doing everything so far. And so far, there isn't even any errors. Now, what I've discovered in like using Base 44 and other apps is that there's just errors all the time. And there's error handling, what's called error handling in these vibe coding apps. And each one comes with its own capabilities and so forth. And I've just found that Flute is just super good at creating your app very solidly and very functionally and not broken right from the start. And that part is very exciting about using Flute compared to using a lot of the other apps. Now, is it done? Almost done creating this right now. Endpoints and hooks are ready. Now let me create the main page. Okay, so we'll be right back. Another thing worth noting as far as building the app right now in Flute is that when I use Lovable or use Base 44 or something like that, like it would have already been done creating the app. Like it doesn't take this long, and those apps end up breaking a little bit faster or more often, if that makes sense. Like Flute really takes the time to make sure every element and aspect is created right from the beginning, and so your error handling will be pretty minimal. So that's just another big difference. And I've used those other apps to create apps. I even use Base 44 to launch and scale and make money from an app. So I have the actual firsthand experience using these apps. Okay, so here is the initial look. And notice we did not tell it what to look like. We did not give it any information on how we wanted it to look. I think this looks great. Right out of the gate, this is great. We could change this to a white background if we want to, but we can go with the dark midnight background like this. Make sure add your Open Router API, and then right here I'm going to say please verify we already gave you our Open Router API. Use that and let me know if you have it. Thanks. So I'm going to go like that. Just one last thing that I usually do. It already asked for it, but I just want to make sure that it has everything that we need right off the bat, you can see that the default, it followed all the instructions we gave it. The GPT-5 is, in fact, the default. The 16:9 is the landscape. Here's the prompt. And then here's where the image, and then there's our saved, and here's our library right there. So it created the app for us. Now, we haven't done auth. We didn't build, any kind of user login or anything like that. I just wanted to create this to show you what's possible in the short amount of time. But if you wanted to launch this into a full-scale app, you would just go and say, okay, now create user authentication. You can use Google, you can use email, all that kind of stuff. And then you would add a landing or sales page, and then you would add your Stripe API keys and all that, and people would be able to actually subscribe and purchase your tool. But I don't recommend doing all that until you actually go and test the heck out of your app and everything first. Make sure everything's working really well before you actually use it. I'm going to let it finish up, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so about 10 minutes have gone by. I haven't done anything or touched anything, but it just continued to keep coding. And it does say your OpenRouter API is now set up and running. It's stored securely in your back end environment, means that no one can get to it or anything like that. The system is using it on the back end, which is good, and does all the stuff. So we can go and maybe try to create an image. So let's just say a lion climbing. Let's just try that. And we have our selections here, and we have all these selections, but let's just go with landscape and generate image and see if it can create an image for us right now, creating your vision right here. Okay, so there is our image. The lion is climbing and looks great. It's a 16:9. It's GPT, and there's the prompt. We can save this to the archive. We can download. Let's go test the download function. It just downloaded that image, and there's our image. So we just literally created a tool from scratch using Vibe coding. This is pretty incredible. Now what we can do is we can also save this image, and it should end up in our saved archive. And you can see that the one ended up being right there. We can go over here, and now we have our saved image. You can save up to 25 images in there, right? And we can download at any time or trash that one right there. So we have our test image right over here, and that's a tiny dot right there. The system created its own little test image. So we have that. Now let's do a lion climbing, and let's try a 16:9, but let's try okay, so it did not use the other one. So I'm going to go and tell it we want to add the sea dance real quick, and we'll be right back. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and try. I said you did not add this as the second model. The user wants to add CDance 1.5. So we'll see what ends up happening. And you can see that it recognized right over here what it did. It said currently the code is Google Gemini 3.1 Flash Image Preview. Instead, we need to update it to this right here. And CDance 1.5 is actually called ByteDance CDance / So it's very technical. It has to be the exact string of what it's called. Waiting for your answer. So CDance is actually a video generation model, creates 5 to 10 second video clips. Okay, so not an image generator. So we need to fix this. We'll be right back. Okay, so it is saying that this would be the next model to use. So I'm just going to go ahead and say the Mimo version 2 Pro. So let's go back into our Flute app and say skip. I'm going to say stop, and I'm going to put that in right there. Actually use this as our second model, and I pasted that in right there. And we'll be right back. Okay, perfect. So after messing around with this, and this is what happens when you actually go to code this, and I told you there was going to be some complexities about this, we finally kind of came down to adding a few more models in here, right? So Gemini 3.1 Flash, that's going to be your Nano Banana. You've got your OpenAI right here, and then you've got your Flux 2 Pro and Max and Seed Dream. So Seed Dream was the one that originally we wanted to go with, but this is from ByteDance, I believe, but this one is what their actual image generator is. So I'm going to go over here. Max is higher quality than Pro. So I'm just going to go with Flux 2 Max, and I'm going to say a lion climbing. We're going to go with a lion climbing right there, and we're going to generate the image. So we're going to test a few of these out, and we do have the progress bar. I'm sure it's not going to create an image that fast, but it is creating our image, and it kind of stops right there, and we'll be right back. And obviously the higher levels that you use, the longer it's going to take to create the images because they're way, way higher quality, but we'll see what ends up happening and we'll compare the three. Okay, so we've got our app. I've been working on this for like the last 30 minutes. This is what this is the reality of actually coding. We were running into the Flux versions right over here, not really working. I actually didn't test Pro. We can test that in a minute, but these ones work. GPT-5, Gemini, and then Sundream, which is arguably, it's right there with Flux 2 Max, and it's actually really good for creating marketing. So we could probably just go with Seedream. It worked flawlessly on the first try. You can see all this coding, all these things. It was timing out and everything, but you can see, look at this image right here. Let's go download this real quick and take a look at this image. Extremely high quality. It looks like a real image. So we don't really have a reason, because actually looking over here at Google and looking this up, Seedream is probably the one that I would want to build for myself as a marketer anyways, because it says, while Flux 2 Pro and Max is generally considered superior for pure photorealism and artistic versatility, while Sundream 4.5 is the superior choice for text accuracy, 4K resolution, and marketing-oriented multi-image consistency. So that would probably be the one that I would want to go with anyways. So you can save it to the archive right here. So look, it's under saved. We have this one. We can go back over to library. We can save this one. It's going to automatically go into our saved folder right over here. So we've got some really good stuff right over there. Last thing I want to say, I'm going to say, okay, a Pinterest pin that says, get my latest course. And then under that, it's called Vibe Coding Method. And then, do something like make an office environment with AI robot coding on computer, something like that, right? So we have 16 by 9, but I'm going to go over here and try the standard, and we're going to keep it on Sundream, and we'll generate that image right here. It should get the text really good. And let's see how fast it can create with Seedream. And this will be the last test. And just like that right there. Now we can code this to where we can click on this and look at it a little bit better, but we'll go ahead and just download this right now and open that up. And here is what we have right here. Get my latest course, Vibe Coding Method. There's the robot. They're coding in an office. We would just need to, maybe do something with that little thing right there. Get course now on the button right there. But look at how amazing this is right here. We just created an entire AI generation. And so what we could do with this now is we could actually go and get users to use this, test it out, let us know what they think. They got the size right on that as well. You could even build this into like a scheduler right here and connect it to Pinterest or something like that, where people can actually schedule, and it would go in and actually post these to like their Pinterest or something like that. So a lot of things you can do right here. Hopefully you got value from this. If you did, the biggest thing that I've asked for you to do is hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll come out with really long, detailed, deep dive tutorials like you haven't seen before on this channel. Stick around for my next video. I'll see you in the next time.